Hey family, welcome to today's Inspirational Vitamin, which comes from Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 30. It says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." I actually want to read that again, because a lot of times we can get so busy that we just kind of read over things that we're used to reading. Jesus is saying this. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened." And this is an invitation from Jesus. Do you feel weary? Do you feel tired? And not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, burdened. Like there's too much that's happening right now. Jesus is saying, come to me. Bring the whole mess. Bring it to me. Right? The feeling of being overwhelmed, of being frustrated. There's so much going on in my life. Jesus says, bring that to me. And in turn, I will give you rest. Now, if you don't bring it to him, you may not have rest. But he says, bring it to me. I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I'm gentle and humble in heart. And he's saying, man, I want you to take on that which I'm giving to you here. And he says, learn from me. Well, how do we learn from him? One, when God created the heavens and the earth, he rested. Two, Jesus rested on the boat. He often withdrew to lonely places just to get his body and mind in the right space. So he's like, learn from me. Follow that example. And he says, I'm gentle and I'm humble in heart. If we follow the example of Jesus, if we're gentle, if we're humble in heart, what's going to happen? And you will find rest for your souls. That's a promise from Jesus. You will find rest for your souls. He says, for my yoke, I want you to take on my yoke, but my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I don't think it's a coincidence that he also puts this right before Matthew 12, although there wasn't initially verses and things like that when the Bible was written. But I don't think it's a coincidence that Jesus goes into talking about him being Lord over the Sabbath in the next chapter. A lot of times we can get caught up on, oh, here's another thing for my checklist. That's not what it's meant to be. Sabbath is not meant to be a checklist thing. It's meant to be an invitation to, one, rest, but not just rest, to rest in God's presence. So he doesn't just necessarily want us to just lay in bed all day or anything like that, but he wants us to be able to stop working and truly rest in God's presence. What does that mean for you? Figure it out. Spend some time in prayer for you and your family. But I do know that it's not for me to tell you, okay, this is the day you got to do it. This is how much time you got to do the whole day or do a few hours. It's not for me. Allow God to lead you and guide you on exactly what that looks like for you and for your family. But I do guarantee you this, if you will allow and accept that invitation of rest and resting in God's presence, he will bless it and you will find rest for your soul. Have a great weekend.